Now, Dr. von Eck, your organization has just had its annual conference in Sandton, and it really took place against the backdrop of a very important time in South Africa, especially in our news cycle, is what we call it here in the newsrooms. We've got the state capture inquiry starting on Monday. At your conference this week, you had Professor Mervyn King speaking, and he says that both the external and internal auditors sectors were undergoing a period of introspection following a litany of public and private sector corruption scandals. The work that those who belong to your organization does, they really have been in the spotlight of late. Does it make what you do more difficult, or are you happy that it's opened people's eyes to what you do on a daily basis?
I think both. So it is important that the general public understands what internal audit does. So it has helped us to a degree because internal audit and external audit are two separate disciplines and people tend to confuse the two. So it's given us an opportunity to explain what internal audit really is and what its mandate is. But it also has, because of the lack of understanding, what I refer to the tsunami that it's hit, external auditors, of course, it rippled through to us onto us as well. I think that what is important is it has given us an opportunity to self-reflect and to look at those areas where we need to beef up, generally speaking, of say, the auditing profession across the board. And I think it's good. Every now and then you need to reflect, and somebody said yesterday, it's in the times of crises when we are forced to think about where changes need to be made, and if you don't have that, you can quite easily become complacent and think everything is okay. The world has changed. It's become a lot more volatile, a lot more complex, and we have to make sure that we step up all the time.
Now, when you say internal auditors, most people say, oh, this is a group of people that wear dark suits and come into our office once a year, but they don't really know what they do. When you come across that kind of attitude, what do you say?
Well, first of all, those are the external auditors, not the internal auditors.
You see, even I get them confused.
So, internal auditors typically are in the organization. Okay. So they're there all the time, and they work across the board in all aspects of the organization in terms of, because it's a risk-based discipline. So it looks at the risks the organization faces, or may potentially face, and look at whether the controls are in place to mitigate against those risks. So it's they should see them on a much more regular basis. And, well, if you saw them on the dance floor on Tuesday night at a gala dinner, no.
They let loose, did they?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
I suppose they deserve to do so.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, one of the highlights of your conference this week was the handing out of the Governance Award. Now, that award was awarded to Thuli Madonsela 2 years ago. Yes. The SABC 8 was given it last year. This year, it's gone to an organization called Partners for Possibility that Dr. Robyn Whittaker is a representative of. Before we speak to her, tell us why they won this award.
Right, so for us, I think maybe just quick background in terms of the award itself. This is the profession looking at the South African landscape and looking for individuals and organizations that are making a difference in the governance sphere. And this time around we looked at, because education is so important, it is one of the most important issues for us in South Africa. So we were looking for an organization or an individual who's really making a difference. So Partners for Possibility for us stood out because they are playing in that governance space. So the better your schools are governed, the better the outcome in terms of our children. And our children are our future. And we should be very, very concerned about the level of, or the degree, or the depth of education that they are receiving at the moment.
Robyn, firstly, congratulations on your organization winning this award. Explain to our viewers what you do.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Marcel. So Partners for Possibility is the flagship program of an organization called Symphonia for South Africa. And the mandate of Symphonia is to mobilize active citizenship around the critical issues in the country. And Partners for Possibility we position as a nation-building program in which we partner individuals from the business sector with principals of under-resourced schools. And we take them through a very powerful year-long transformative leadership development year. And the rationale really is to equip the humans within the system. So to equip our leaders in the education system with the wherewithal that they need to really lead their schools well. And the honour of this award is the recognition of that governance factor, that governance is not only your external controls and accountability, but it is being able to internally locate that sense of accountability, governance, understanding of what is required, and ability to lead in a very complex sector.
And what is the impact that you've seen this program have on our schools, if you have an example or two?
So we see quite remarkable impact. We've worked in 833 schools so far, and in many of those schools we've seen the most dramatic turnaround in terms of how the schools operate as organizations. We've seen the confidence of the leaders of those schools, the principals really be taken up and given them an ability to step into that leadership role. And we've seen the ability of that school team to really have agency around how the school delivers, what they deliver, how they engage on their mandate to give our children quality education.
Now, Claudelle, the hope here is that if a program like that can reach a mass level, that the work that internal auditors then do later on in life is within a society that has a better understanding of the differences between ethics and the difference between right and wrong and those kinds of things.
Absolutely. And of course, I would secretly hope that we'll get more internal auditors out of those programs as well.
Well, there you go. Well, speaking of which, are you finding it difficult, or are you finding that youngsters going into the market, deciding what to study, don't have an understanding of what they could potentially bring to the world of internal auditors, or what they could bring to society through it?
It is getting much better. It used to be much worse than it is now. But yes, there is still, to a large degree, a lot of young people coming in and not understanding that internal audit is actually an exciting profession. Because to be a good internal auditor, you need to understand business. You need to understand an organization like the palm of your hand. So you've got to have business acumen across all disciplines. So it's not a narrowly focused profession. It really is a great profession. But yes, we're still finding that a lot of young people don't know.
Is it because there's a stigma attached to it, like to a CA or an internal or external auditors? A little bird has told me that you're a fabulous ballroom dancer as well, and that's not the first thing you think of when you think of the work that an auditor does. So obviously you guys need to do a little bit of better branding.
Or maybe I should dance with them, right? Primarily, I think internal audit is still a fairly young profession as compared to external audit. External audit has been around for much longer. So I think that lack of understanding has got to do with that. So we're doing quite a bit of work around the awareness so that young people know what it is that they could get out of internal audit.
If people do want to find out more, where can they find out more about becoming an external auditor?
Internal auditor.
Or internal auditor, sorry.
So our website is www.iiasa.org.za.
Okay, great. And Dr. Robyn Whittaker, where can people find out more if they want to become part of Partners of Possibility? That's part of what Symphonia does.
So we have quite good presence on Google, so you can just literally Google Partners for Possibility. But our website address also is www.pfp4, that's a numeric 4,
okay,
sa.org.